looked at that in like a minute, not even on my streams. That's unbelievable right there.
To
I'm
be
not gonna
honest,
lie.
I also haven't noticed that. I'm not a massive TA guy. The patterns and stuff like that, I'm not too
Yeah.
familiar with all that kind of stuff. I just get most of my alpha in relation to that from Moon King, to be honest. So
Uh-huh. Well, you should 6:30 in the morning, best TA in Pulsechain. Early in the morning for me. It's probably late at night for you, but
yeah, it's
God,
yeah.
gosh, dang. Like at the end of the day, like people here on Pulsechain just don't really understand what's really going on. And it's just like once Pulsechain starts running, all the hate, all the negativity, all the rumors of individuals, all this kind of like nonsense at the end of the day, it's just like, what do you think is going to happen to pDAI? What do you think is going to happen to Atropa? What do you think is going to happen to pTGC? So it's just
Mhm.
like kind of like a mind-boggling, just like I've I, all right, back on track. So
So
at that
yeah, just got that. It was that shift of seeing all these things really that was happening on the chain. Being so focused on just Pulsechain and Richard Hart tickers, but there's a whole ecosystem of tokens, and that's really something that
exactly.
Richard encouraged us to do a lot. Just build, just build, just build. And so seeing the building that was going on, and like I said, I can't remember what actually like gravitated me towards obviously my friends, but I can't remember how or why I started looking at all the charts. But it was probably one of my first Atropa videos, and you could see like I was going crazy, like I was going down that rabbit hole. And then just since then, just kept digging and digging and digging. And the more that I found out, the more that I learned when I started looking at the chat logs and trying to, I think I read like, I saved all the, off Telegram, all the chat logs, and I went through it over like a month. And that was a head. That was a head fuck. Let me just tell you that.
Hey,
So
guess what? Like my mind was going through like every single morning, waking up and like uh I was like one of the first, like not one of the first, but like in the chat logs, just conversation with the 414 is just like some of the things that he was saying. I was just like, okay, just keep on doing what you're doing. All right, I've been researching you for. I was the number 3 researcher. You just keep on doing whatever you want. At the end of the day. So it's
mm,
like,
well, I'd love to actually know how you found out about it. Like, what made you gravitate towards it? There was people that came to me, so I feel like I just kind of had a cheat
yeah,
code. These guys were just showing me the way, but you actually were like one of the innovators.
yeah. Well, it kind of got like what it got us started was, of course, I was in a group of individuals, and Hodonomics was one of those guys, and was just like, look at this. Before remember that like that tweet, that number one tweet that he had like with the raptor and like a pDAI thing in inside of it.
That
Do
was
you
again
remember that?
my time. That was before my time. I've heard about it. I've read it after the fact, but again, that was before
Yeah.
my time, man. Yeah.
So like so even before that tweet, um, we started this room, and then we just started going over. And it's just like, why is there so much liquidity tied between pDAI and Atropa? Like it was
Mm.
a significant amount. Why is there? It's connected to USDC. Why is it connected to USDT? Why is it connected to this? Why is it connected to that? And it just started with that, and then we managed to figure it out. It was just like, what's going on over here? And then one thing led to another, and more individuals got curious about it, and we started the pDAI, and then we started the Valhalla group, and we just at that time and rate, it was like people coming together on Pulsechain that were could be like bored, or it could be just like, this is entertaining. Like, what's actually really going on here on Pulsechain, and what could be the possibilities of the future? And of course, like the individuals that were buying pDAI and July and all that kind of stuff, pDAI, Atropa, and then the and then the 414 like dropping his like master plan, just like dropping I forget which one was first. I think it was down.
I
It
think
was like
legal.
down. Well, like that was the collective. It was down, legal, Poppy,
TSFI.
TSFI 2, the two, the it has a circle and then it has a 2 in it. Was one of the first. And then what else was? And then Envy as well.
Okay.
One of the first ones. So the intriguing factor of that right now, or right there, was just like, what's going on? What is being innovated? Who's the dev behind everything going on? And just the creativity, and then also the due diligence of like myself. Um, Actually, it was like not or new to um, 9H Capital, Snowflake,
Okay.
myself, Jimmy Rents was there at the very beginning, Hodlnomics, and then us. Oh, and then yeah, and then it was like us like talking about it, and then we started like doing spaces, and myself and Hodlnomics were like the pretexters of like um, being those people that like kind of like the hexicans and pulsicans, just like, shut up, you're all you guys are liars, blah 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 blah. And we're like, hey, hands up, just look at here's the blockchain, here you go. We're like spoon feeding them. It's just like, have you ever looked at the blockchain before? Have you actually looked at the facts? And it's just like, and then the rest is history. Like Teddy Bear came out, and then everybody knows what happened to Teddy Bear. And then it's just like the web started growing and growing and growing. Amount of money. And then what is it? What was the other one? Came out like maybe like towards February. What is it called? Sorry, I'm blanking on this one.
BFF?
No, the one, yeah, BFF. Yes, 100%. So it's just like, and that chat log, he still is communicating with individuals. He's still talking about like what the possibilities and what the outcomes, and it's going to be kind of intriguing. I was like, he's going to Amsterdam here. I think it's June 15th
Something
or
like
so,
that.
and he's actually going to speak at it. So it's going to be like, it's like, all right, well, I guess you should have been listening to Coach and listening to Hananomics and listening to YouTube. And it's just like listening to Steven, at the end of the day, like if you really think about it, let's just say that pDAI goes to $1. Okay. We don't know exactly how, but we have ultimately like a game plan, like with MakerDAO and the end game, and kind of like all the connected wallets that myself and the researchers and other individuals like have been like showcasing, and like with the sub DAOs and everything. But like from that, like at that point, where did you really like want to start diving deep and just letting the Pulsechain community know about everything?
And so just taking a step back, because I'm very curious. So going back to what you were talking about, how you noticed the liquidities, the liquidity pools, like what was like, I wouldn't even have thought of that. I wouldn't even have thought, oh, look at this. It's locked like Atropas and pDAI is connected with all these different liquidity pools. What made you aware of that in the first place? Do you
Well,
have
like
experience past or?
well, like when it comes to like liquidity, like everybody knows, like with pTGC, like I understand liquidity a pretty good amount. And honestly, it's just like at the end of the day, like Pulsechain is going to be the most liquid layer one ever created, with burnt liquidity or without, you know. And we can like showcase that with 9 millimeter and the V3, like, and which HOA is doing over there, like doing just like sending shit coin after shit coin, but at the same time adding liquidity and having value for people, the possibility like have like passive income, you know what I mean, and bringing to light. But like once that pDAI Atropa liquidity was burned, it was just like game on. There's something here. There's something to dig into. There's something to look at. And there was like, and then we just started looking at wallets. We're just like going and tracking and just doing this and this, and like DBank go like, all right, this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here. And then like we found some wallets are interconnected with 414 and like some kind of connection with the or not with the OA, but like RH wallets that we possibly believe that is connected. And then ultimately I started like looking at like who was the people starting the liquidities with pDAI, who was the individuals like starting the liquidity with God, I'm hiccuping right now, starting the liquidity with PWrap Bitcoin, Pepe, P-Link, and like the list goes on. And it was just like, and then those wallets essentially is connected to a wallet that had 6 trillion pulse. So at the end of the day, it's just like there's a wallet that's connected to the wallets that actually started all these liquidity pools at the start of Pulsechain. So if you put 2 and 2 together, if you're a naysayer and you don't really understand like the concept of the possibilities of like what was trying to be built, and then if you actually take a look at like the farms, there's the P Pepe, and then E Pepe. So it was like, so that actually happened, and in my mind it's just like, okay, what are the possibilities? So like when it comes to like any kind of like crypto or any kind of asset or fiat currency, what's the 3 main focuses here? Supply, speculation, liquidity. That's the only three things that matter. So it's like, go back to the example, we have like 86 people in the room. If you haven't done so, subscribe, like, if you're on Twitter, like, retweet, that would be cool. Get this message out because it's going to be a great conversation. But anyways, but like, when was the best time to buy Bitcoin? When the supply was low, the speculation was small, and the liquidity wasn't there. What actually happened like 3 or 4 years later? Hexes or centralized exchanges, layer ones were coming out and bridging over the wrapped Bitcoin to add liquidity for their ecosystem. And it's just like a domino effect. So the same kind of concept with like what we built over with pTGC, that is just like, it was just putting 1 and 2 together. It's just like, what do you expect pTGC to do? When every single time there's an action, there's going to be a reaction. And ultimately, I studied this when it came to pDAI and Atropa. Whenever there was a buy from Pulse to pDAI, there was always something happening between pDAI and Atropa. So it's actually like a learning layer, but it's just like, at the end of the day, it's like, there's so many things that we can talk about tonight. And
oh man, like, so even with the liquidity, so I'm still trying to learn this. I'm still saying I don't fully understand it. I mean, I understand the core basics of it, but I'm definitely not an expert. But me and one of my boys who got me into Atropa and pDAI and this whole ecosystem, we've actually started like pooling our money together into a particular liquidity pool because we're trying we're basically trying to like push volume through there. So in regards to that, like in terms of the liquidity pool sizes, is that something that triggered your curiosity? Because I think I remember Maria saying in the meeting in Zurich that it was like maybe 50% of the supply was burnt. So is it like, you know, is there a difference between how much is burnt, whether it's like 10%, 50%, 90%? Does that do certain different things? And is that something that piqued your curiosity as well?
Yeah, of course. Like with the 50% and everything, it's just like, and then it comes into play like what is really market cap? Like what is the presumption of that philosophy and mindset? And people kind of like get kind of like forget about it and get lost about the whole possibilities and of coming true. Like if you like take a look at what the 414 was actually doing, it's like there was always a layer, and then there was another layer, and then there was another layer. But during those layers, whenever there was an action, there was a reaction, a reaction, a reaction, a reaction. So
It would trickle like, through the layers.
Exactly. So like if you really think about it, like with some of the things that the 414 has been like talking about with like what like his predicament is like a possible like for pDAI itself being a mechanism to actually have that capability of being like some kind of I wanted to like put the air quotes in it of that like peer-to-peer type of stuff. But like if you really think about it, what happens with like fiat and stuff like that?
In what sense?
Like what if you go to the grocery store, what happens to that dollar?
Just circulates into somewhere else, just flows somewhere else.
So there's an action. Okay. What happens triggers right after that?
A reaction.
Exactly. So that person, so you go to the grocery store has to pay taxes on it. Okay. Right off the bat. Then the grocery store has to go to get more of that item, like get more lettuce, get more water, get more. So there's that trickling down effect. So in the same kind of philosophy and mindset is just like, and
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I've never thought like that.
Yeah, I kind of like just give that kind of stuff to my clients, by the way. But
nice.
It's a different kind of like philosophy and like thought process when it comes to the predicament of the possibilities of pDAI and PUSDC and wrap Bitcoin and actually ultimately like P-Link, P-Pepe, like, but essentially like the most important thing is the or like pDAI and eDAI. And then the next thing that is important is the P-Link and E-Link, because essentially it's going to have all those other liquidity pools. You know, whenever there's an action, there's going to be a reaction. But if it's tied to Ethereum, there is the whole Ethereum network that has the possibilities of having that possible reaction to it.
On
if
that,
you really think about it.
There was that tweet that you did the other day where I said, I need to ask you a bit more while we're talking about the Ethereum. I need to ask you a little bit more about that tweet. You explained it, but I'd love to hear you like explain it with your voice. It's always a bit tricky when I'm just reading. You showed that tweet where ETH should be the first chart people look into before talking about where Pulse will be going in the near future. So just the facts, and then you look at the trend line has been broken. So how, in what sense, like, obviously now Ethereum's pumping. So how do you think how does that mathematically or literally flow into Pulsechain?
So let me just pull up let's pull it up because we have 109 people watching the stream right now.
Wow.
So looking at everything, we'll see how we're doing actually. Hold on.
I'm going to chuck the tweet in the comment section as well. Oh, wrong one. That's a 99 Capital one. That's new, but that one's goated as well.
Well, we got 70 viewers right now. We got 6 likes and 4 retweets on Twitter. You know, it's all right. It's not great. It's not good, but it's all right. This is free.com. Great conversation. Yeah, let's just take a look at like Ethereum, and then I'll actually go into Pulse itself. So essentially, like everybody just looks at the Pulse and Pulse X chart. So if anybody's been watching my streams and watching my content, I always start from Ethereum, Pulse, and then I go to the rest of the ecosystem, because effectively Hart's law comes into play with everything. So like same kind of concept when it comes to pDAI and Atropa. They're going to follow each other. The same thing when it comes to pDAI and 2. Same thing when it comes to Poppy, Down, and the whole ecosystem of the 414. So essentially, market cap, liquidity. So that is a differentiation of $9 million. So if you really think about it, and I've showed this in the stream in the past, but like, let's just do it. Let's do October 11th. I like the October 11th one, or let's do October 10th. So October 10th, Ethereum went up 177%. Okay. Now let's look at Pulse to its all-time high. I'm talking about Ethereum. So let's go and interact October 10th. So essentially that is here. Went up 414%.
Wow.
Okay. So kind of like that, when you think about it, since Pulse is such a little bit lighter layer, and it's kind of like a leverage system, what does people or when it comes to the consideration of the possibilities of what Pulse can actually do, and as you can see, we have some losers selling down here, but at the same time, it's going to be objectively a lot easier to pump Pulsechain effectively with Hart's law, with all these people like selling down here. So let me just give you another like essentially, I don't know, a little bias here, but it just helps.
So like just quickly, Coach. So quite literally, then is it just a matter of people filtering profits from Ethereum into Pulsechain? Is there some kind of arbitrage that's happening there with bots? Like, what's the actual mechanism that's creating the same movements in Pulsechain as Ethereum?
It's ultimately more users, and it is. I'm trying to put like this example up, but it's not that much. Hold on, let me get the better thing right there for people. Whatever, it's almost like that. But ultimately, from like that standpoint, like that's what like October was like, kind of like the top of pDAI, the top of Teddy Bear, the top of actually no, September 27th. I want to say was like kind of like the tops of both those ecosystems, but ultimately it depends about or with the user base that was flowing in, and you can actually look at the TVL of Pulsechain ecosystem itself. But when it comes to like Ethereum, like we can just see the chart and what Ethereum was doing. We can see the chart of Bitcoin and ultimately know what it was doing. And people forget like about the antidote of like wrap Bitcoin, not wrap Bitcoin, just wrap Bitcoin. Like you can buy wrap Bitcoin here on Pulsechain, and there's a liquidity connected with Pulse. So ultimately, if you really think about it, if Ethereum goes to a $10,000 market cap, let's not even say 10, let's say 12,000. So that is a 3x from here. This liquidity is going to go up 3x. Of course, it's going to depend on human interactions with liquidity pools, but ultimately, this liquidity is going to go up 3x. This market cap is going to go up from 30 to 90. So, and this liquidity is going to go up to about, give or take, 60.
Okay.
50 to 60. So ultimately, it's raising up the floor of the whole ecosystem of itself. But at the same time, it has connections with Pulsechain, it has connections with pHex, and whatever else is tied with the ecosystem. And then ultimately, if that occurs, Pulse goes up, what's going to happen? pDAI is going to go up. Atropa is going to go up. pTGC is going to go up, you know, at the end of the day.
How do you feel this? So just for myself, speaking for myself here, even though after I started digging, I was still like, oh, there was still like doubts in my mind. People were coming with FUD like, oh, Maria's moved this liquidity off the chain and this has happened, that's happened. And then when Maria actually came out with that Zurich thing, and I was like, holy shit, that was an epic moment in the Atropa ecosystem. For me, it was like, okay, I can see his character, I can see his nature. I feel that he's got good intentions. You could see it, you could feel it. And so the whole market really responded to that as well. How do you feel the market is going to actually respond to the Pulsechain conference in June? Do you think it's going to be like a bullish event? Do you think it's going to be just like we've had that kind of bullish event with the reveal? What's your feel around it? How do you think that's going to affect the sentiment?
Well, like ultimately, like the Pulsechain event that I went to in Las Vegas was like around March 8th. And ultimately, what happened on March 8th? All-time high for Pulse, or like from the bottom. So like ultimately, there might be the possibilities of the same kind of outcome, because that is June 15th, right? So it's around.
Sorry, not conference.
Yeah, the tour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately that we're talking about the tour, right?
Yes, I said conference, but there's two. Matty Allen's is called the conference, and this one's called the tour. I always get mixed up.
It was kind of funny. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they were like, ultimately, like, oh, the conference, and I'm like, conference is online, like once a year. You mean the tour? Or I was trying to figure it out, but like, oh, why, hello there, first. But ultimately, like May 22nd, master number. I think we're gonna have a nice day on the 28th, and then on June 8th, there's gonna be a nice green day. Ultimately, I don't know, just throwing out numerologies type of stuff. But like June 15th, June 17th, it's a possibility. It might give those non-believers in the Pulsechain ecosystem and the hexagons more of like it's like an eye-opening moment.
Yeah.
You know?
I think so.
But it's just like we've been talking about this for 11 months. You know? You know, it's just like the information's been there. The facts are on the table. The wallets have been interconnected. MakerDAO has already been talking about sub DAOs and making DAI, like it backed by 100% crypto, to be 100 million or 100 billion in collateralization behind it. All the information's been told, all the facts, all the data, not feelings, not like what if. It's just like
it's hard facts,
you know. But at the end of the day, you can feed you can feed a fish to eat like every once in a while, But like ultimately, like my goal in my past and what I've been preaching and what I've been saying, I've only been an asset to this community at the end of the day. You know, it's just like I've been I was screaming at the top of my lungs in July, like, all right, pDAI, Atropa, like there's something here, guys. There's something
Mm.
here. And then it's like the next month, August. All right. Um pDAI, Atropa, liquidity burnt. At that point, I think it was at like $3 million of burnt liquidity. And then came the FUD with all the people. Oh, this is this is not possible. And then there's like the FUD of like other builders is like, no, pDAI is never going to $1. My project, and I don't need to get into that, but it's just like those.
Projects.
Yeah, it's just like, did you do any kind of like research? Like for
Mm.
me, with like pDAI and the whole Atropa ecosystem, I've probably done over since July 200 hours of just looking at stuff
Wow.
and just
Wow.
like actually it's probably from like July to I don't know January 8th ultimately.
Mm.
So
You know, when we don't understand something, humans just tend to have a negative bias when we don't understand
mhm.
something. So that's where all the FUD actually comes from. Then once you start digging, oh, something's going on here. But then you get people who think they know everything, particularly from like other stablecoin projects. They're like, no, it's not possible because of X, Y, and Z. But for me, I don't really. It's not that I discount what they're saying, but for me, this is something completely new. What's happening here is completely new. It's something that's never been done before. So you can't really compare it to the past when it's something that's completely innovative and new. That's how I've always felt about it. And I've never said, oh, I understand everything it's going to do this, it's going to do that. But how can you ignore what's happening? How can you ignore that trend line on pDAI? You can't. It's epic. And if you continue that trend line, it's going to get there. It's going to get to that dollar mark if it continues. It's been a year now. That trend line has been going for a year, and if it continues in the same trajectory, it should be around about December that it hits $1. So
Oh yeah.
that would be like, that
And
would
then
just
like
be,
and then imagine all the eyeballs here on Pulsechain.
man,
And
yeah,
it's just
that's
going to
what
be a fucking it's like it's going to be like a tidal wave, you know what I mean?
100%. That's what's been like the most. That was what interested me about it in the first place. It's like, oh, there's something that's going to attract people to this ecosystem because obviously I came from the Richard Hart background. I'm very interested in Pulsechain and the core Richard Hart assets, but people actually need to come and buy the tokens. And if people hate Richard Hart, they're not going to come to buy Pulsechain and Hex. Period. They're just not. There's going to be a very small percentage that will, but the vast
Yeah.
majority are going to go, yeah, don't like Richard Hart. But hang on a minute. Oh, there's this pDAI, this thing that's like 50 cents now, and it's this narrative is it's like it's going to go to $1. I can move, 20k on there, get myself a quick 2x. But then once they come, then they're going to see everything else that's happening. They'll see the Atropa ecosystem. They'll see Tangang. They'll see pTGC. They'll see everything that's happening on this ecosystem. That's what excites me more than anything.
But like the thing is, by that time of like getting to that point, like it's going to be game over.
Of course.
And it's like PulseX. It's just like Hart's law comes into full effect. pDAI goes up, Atropa goes up. Then Atropa goes up with like the whole ecosystem of the 414. pTGC goes up. Period. Um, and then ultimately Pulse goes up, HOA goes up, Dick with fucking butt goes up, Teddy Bear goes up. But the possibilities are endless, you know?
Mm.
And then that's going to attract more devs and all that kind of stuff. And also, it's going to attract a lot more scammers. So ultimately, if anybody's been watching my content and everything, you'll properly understand the good actors to the bad actors. And ultimately, you just find everything on the blockchain. You just look at the blockchain. The facts come out off the blockchain, period. End of discussion. So all the like rumors, all the like scammers that are going to be coming out, like adding liquidity and then pulling it. It's just like the information just comes out. It might not come out today. It might not come out tomorrow. It might not come out a month, a year. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to come out sooner or later.
And for me as well, it's going to be a historic moment in all of cryptocurrency. Somi talks about these pillars that have happened: Bitcoin, Ethereum, then Uniswap, then Chainlink. For me, this is like the next pillar. If this ends up working, pDAI gets to $1, it peaks to $1, and it's collaterally backed by the whole Atropa ecosystem. Then we've got Pulsechain, which is liquidity bonded with hundreds of tokens. We've got ETF narratives happening here. Like, it's a whole new way of doing cryptocurrency. It's not the old way. The old way is pump and dump, player versus player. I'm going to take your money and fuck all of you. I'm going to go buy my Lambo and my mansion. This is a completely different mindset. It's a whole shift. Yeah. It's a whole new consciousness. It's a whole new decentralized financial system.
Like here, like this here. I'm gonna play a video because we have 145 people listening in. I usually play this for my audience in the morning time because ultimately it just speaks volumes. And after this, we'll speak about this for a second. But it's just like, if you really listen and think about what is about to happen and what is the possibilities of people's mindset, there's going to be people left behind, and then there's going to be people that are going to just be blessed internally because essentially they've been doing the right thing. They've been doing, like, providing value for the people without even caring about what kind of value that they've like burnt off the table. Like the 404, what is it at right now? Like $60 million between, actually, hold on. Let me look at that real quick.
Tens of millions of dollars. This is the thing. This is why, like, yeah, obviously gets a lot of criticism, but there's tens of millions of dollars in like burnt liquidity. That's a pretty benevolent actor in the ecosystem, whichever way that you want to look at it. You can look at these individual things. Oh, they sold teddy bear for Hex. But if you look at the totality and the big picture, it's a whole nother story. If you just look at the individual thing, it's like, oh, of course you can pick and choose, nitpick everything, get your little CNN sound bites, but not interested in that. Want to see the macro, want to see the large scale, want to see the system.
Let's just take a look. This is against Pulse, by the way, too. $82 million of burnt liquidity. Market cap 36 million with Atropa. Like, what kind of benevolent actor does that kind of stuff? You know what I mean?
Not many.
Not many. So it's just like, and like, I don't need to show. We'll just keep it Atropa pTGC. But like, ultimately, that's like one of the reasons why we did the things that we did with pTGC and tying, connecting, burning liquidity between Atropa, Teddy Bear, TSFI, in the whole ecosystem of Atropa and the 414 and pDAI, because ultimately we already had the mindset. You know, it's like some like people have come after me, like mean tweets by Coach, or like saying comments, or like this and that, and spreading rumors and all this kind of stuff, and not coming out with any kind of factual information, like at the end of the day. But it's just like, if I go away, or if I stay, pTGC is just going to follow Atropa. pTGC is going to follow pDAI, especially if it goes to $1. So it's just like, the facts are in the pudding. The facts are in the blockchain, and you can't talk shit about the facts. But here, let's watch this real quick, and we might go over that time I said, but I think we'll be pretty good. All right, let's listen.
Life, where everybody, if you're just a little bit aware, you can feel something is shifting. Some people are not willing to maybe adapt to the change. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. It is my perspective. There will come the time, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation is going to take place, a natural separation. The ones that are able to read the signs, that are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. They will move on to another area, to another cycle of us humans being right now here on the earth. And other people that are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes. It is simple like this. They will stay with the old world, which is about to end. That's the message. That's all what this is about. An old era is about to come to an end. A new era is about to come.
Wow.
And like,
I love that.
you know, what do you say about that?
There's so many things I want to say about that, man. So I'm all about hearkening in that new era. That's everything that I'm doing right now. I believe it has to come through the consciousness first, through the mindset which we've identified. We can't actually, Albert Einstein says, you can't do something new by doing the same thing again and again. So how can we, we talk about new financial systems and capitalism's got to change. It's not going to happen with the same mindset. It's not going to happen with the greed mindset, the self-centered mindset. It has to happen from a selfless mindset, a mind that actually looks out for others with no expectations, a loving mindset. So I do believe that wholeheartedly. And in my mind, I picture this in terms of growth. There's always like a slow, then there's like an exponential. It's like that growth curve, it's adoption curve. It happens everywhere. It happens all through nature. You see it in the markets. You see it everywhere in nature. It's going to be the same here. It's going to be the same with Pulsechain. It's going to be the same with humanity. Humanity's shift towards that new world, and the acceptance of like seeing things how they are, like that. The acceptance is as the curve is going like this. There's those early innovators that are like, this is happening, and then more and more people are accepting it, more and more people, and then they can't deny it as the results come. Again, I see exactly the same that's going to happen with everything that's happening on Pulsechain. If we just stick to using that example here, I think it's definitely going to happen globally. But again, using it in this example here, the more resistance you have in your mind, the more lack of acceptance you have in your mind, you're going to get left behind. The people who adopted it first are probably the ones who weren't so tied to everything that Richard Hart says. Hodlonomics came from outside of the Richard Hart ecosystem, and then he was able to see. That's why he was one of the first to actually see it, because he wasn't stuck with this mentality of like, it's all about Hex, it's all about Pulsechain. Yeah. Nothing wrong with those things. They're going to have their run. But his mind wasn't fixed to that idea, so he was able to see the world as it is. If we're stuck to these concepts in our mind, we can't see the world as it is. We're not able to actually see the signs. We can't adapt. We can't accept. This is the problem. And so even myself, I'm constantly having to adjust my mindset. When I first heard about Atropa and pDAI, I had resistance in my heart, in my mind. It's like, no, I'm focused on the Richard Hart. I don't want to know about that. I don't even want to entertain that thought. But I had to. The results did all the talking. It kept going. Okay, I'm going to investigate. And then and then there was no turning back, straight down that rabbit hole. So I love that perspective. Everything that I do is devoted to that perspective. Everything that I do, I've mentioned many times, I run a meditation center. I'm all about bringing in that new age of consciousness. It starts in the mind. It doesn't happen anywhere else. It's all to do with the mind.
But isn't it crazy that I actually I don't know if you actually watch that kind of thing or watch that clip. And I didn't even tell you about this clip at the beginning of the thing, and I didn't even know you do like a meditation type of thing. But like that philosophy, ultimately, like that, like my life changed by waking up, waking up from like, I didn't wake up from the Matrix quite yet in 2019, 2018, but like starting just like understanding getting into crypto in 2018. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, Dogecoin, and then going down, like learning about option trading, stock market, and all that kind of stuff. And then it brought me to learning about like, what is money, what is fiat, what is actually the Federal Reserve, what is what happens when our money goes out. Like people don't understand, like when the U.S. government, I know you're not from the U.S., but like when the U.S. government is sending money to other countries, it's ultimately trying to send the inflation somewhere else, trying to send and trying to like take or send it from different different kind of like economies in the world. But ultimately it comes back to the three kind of things: supply, speculation, liquidity. So like with the US dollar, supply, speculation, programmed, you're a slave. Like people don't understand, like you are a slave to a society. You are a slave. If you have a 9-to-5 job, you're getting taxed even before you get your paycheck. And then when you go to the grocery store, you get taxed. When you go to the gasoline station, you get taxed. And then at the end of the day, like the whole like, and then like for capital gains, you get taxed depending upon how much you actually make. Like people just don't understand, like when you get taxed about like on capital gains, it's like if you're only making like, if you make over $500,000, that's when you get taxed about 38%. And then if you get and then lower and lower. So if you only make $10,000 in crypto, you're only going to be taxed about roughly about 15%. So it's just like when it comes to that kind of conclusion, it's just like we started a revolution for getting taxed 2% on a fucking piece of tea. Like, where do you actually think the society norms has actually gone? And then if you want to go down even more of the rabbit hole, and then you just start thinking about like who runs the world, who really runs the world, and people really don't really think about that. They would rather go to their favorite soccer or football game or soccer game or baseball game or go to the bars and stuff like that. And instead of like really understanding what are we meant to be here for, you know? Did you watch that YouTube with Joe Rogan and Terrence
McKenna?
No, what's his last name?
The mushrooms guy. He like
no,
lots of LSD and no, okay.
Not the Joe. It's the last one. Joe Rogan. Terrence Howard, and how he was.
Sounds familiar though, Terrence Howard.
He's the actor, but basically he just.
Oh yes, okay. Yeah. I've seen clips of it. Yes, my friend's been sharing clips. Okay, yeah.
Watch the whole 3-hour thing. I watched it back to back because I had nothing to do. Because what he was like actually talking about, and going back to there's going to be a separation taking place here on Pulsechain, but there's going to be a separation taking place from the real world to this like fun little internet money world, which is what we have going on. And there and I'm a big numerology guy. I've always talked about it in my streams and stuff like that. And there's like the energy factor coming into play with like for example, like for myself, I was born on the 22nd, so the number 22 is a master builder. Okay, and basically it's a master number. There's 11, 22, and 33, and and ultimately the everybody knows here on Hexaco 369, and actually it's like, and like numbers are energy. And then like when it comes to like the concept. So like I was born on the 22nd, and if you add up all your numbers, that is ultimately your other life path number, which mine is the number 8. And then kind of like when it comes to like pTGC, some of the things that or kind of things I implemented, our first marketing thing came out January 8th. The next one came out February 26th. So it's 2 plus 6, 8. The next kind of like stream that we had was on the 28th. And then pTGC and Pulsechain's all-time high was March 8th. And
Wow.
number 8 is the number of money. But at the same time, it's like the yin yang, you know? So it's like you're going to be really, really rich or you're really, really poor. But at the same time, the yin yang is like karma at the same time, or it's the same kind of concept. So it's just like, ultimately, it's just like, there's so many things and possibilities that it's just lovely to think about. And if you really think about it, 4, 1, 4, 4 plus 1 plus 4 is 9. And the number 9 in like crypto terms, people that are born on the 9th or stuff like that are really good at crypto. People born with the numerology number of 9 are really good at crypto. But I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole of any more numerology terms. So the 177 people, there you go. It's going to be a fun little ball game. So if you ever wanted to learn about more numerology and all that kind of stuff, 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, AM. It's always a fun time. So
I think, yeah, I find all that stuff interesting. I like from the clips that I did hear of this Terrence Howard, he was talking about Walter Russell, and I've got a very different perspective on the Matrix, on the concept of the Matrix, and it. I don't know how to verbalize what I think about it or how I feel about it without sounding arrogant. It's very, very difficult, but I'm going to try anyway. So, we all operate from this perspective of how the world was. And then from inside of my mind, I'm looking at the world going, something is not right. Something is not right. Then I start investigating and, okay, this is what's wrong with the world. You've got these people controlling it. And then you're like, okay, this is the Matrix. So you kind of like break out of it and your perspective shifts. But my perspective is that is still the Matrix. It's just you're still in your mind. If you go beyond your mind, that is the world of the universe. That's the world of heaven, of God. That's like you got to come out of the bubble of your mind completely 100%. So I still wouldn't, even if we're all like, oh, okay, we got that Matrix is old, then we start creating this new way based on all these other concepts. Eventually, because we're still at the core, these like self-humans, it's still going to eventually get corrupted in some way. It might start off good, but eventually it's going to become corrupt because that's just how humans are. So we have to get rid of that concept completely, the concept of humans. It's all just the one universe. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. And I've had those enlightenments, or I've been blessed with those enlightenments, or maybe it was just delusion or whatever. If I tell people, they just tell me that I'm on drugs. So yeah, I don't really tell too many people about it, but really it's about coming out of that mind 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like, it's kind of funny. It's like people, there's been rumors going around that people just say I'm on drugs, and it's just like, okay. It's just like at the end of the day, it's just like, if you have haters and you have people like talking around saying like this and this and that, and everything is in the background, and then like you finally like there's like just birdies like coming to you, and it's just like you're doing something right when it comes to the universe. You're doing something right for individuals. Yeah. You're doing something right for the possibilities of the future. And then like when it comes to like the 414, it's just like if you look at like the blockchain, if you look at what they were doing, like for instance, there was at one point in time where the 4014 was selling, or this is when EDOT or EHEX was having all that kind of shit, and the 4014 was selling their teddy bear for EHEX, and ultimately there was all that chatter. There was all like the like he's selling their teddy bear, Teddy going to zero, and like blah blah blah. But it's just like ultimately, if I think about that and I take a step back and understand what the possibilities, what they're ultimately going to be trying to do with that, like what if they're doing that and they have 100 million EHEX, and it gets to a point where like Pulsechain starts to run pDAI and all that, and he plugs that stuff into Liquidity, and it's just like, oh, that floor is just going to be another tool to ultimately rise up the whole ecosystem. And at the end of the day, you might have not subconsciously thought it was the right, or like what you're saying, like spiritually, my heart and my brain and my eyes weren't seeing it, but or my spirit ultimately, if you had just a little bit of hope or a little bit of like what's the right term I want to use, like the possibilities. I think I already said that, but anyways, it's just like ultimately, what do you think that's going to be, a net positive or a net negative Pulsechain? So
it's going to be a net positive. It's going to be a net positive. Yeah, I remember because I'm in a few different groups on Telegram, right? And I'm in some like what I feel is like really quality groups where basically they just feed all like the latest awesome information, and they were sharing that stuff about teddy bear and EHEX, and I was like, holy shit, like this could actually be like a mega goat move if Maria ends up getting all of that EHEX, like huge amounts of EHEX, starts Liquidity bonding it with the Atropa ecosystem. In the future, EHEX is going to be balling, and all the hexicans are going to be, they're going to have to look. They're going to have to look. How did this actually happen? They're going to investigate. Why did the price start doing this? And they're going to be led to the Atropa ecosystem. And so that's why I continue to place my bets within the Atropa ecosystem, because I don't, even now, man, like it's almost like the whole narrative shifted towards a Tangang at the moment and all their tokens, which is awesome. We don't want just one thing. We want different kinds of narratives attracting different kinds of people for different kinds of things. And so we're kind of in this like downturn in the Atropa ecosystem, but it's holding up so well. It could keep dropping, but it's holding up so well. That's what I'm so impressed by. Like the whole system is just like, it just seems to be working as it was designed. It's beautiful. It's epic.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just like with my clients talking about it, it's like, what do you feel about Pulsechain and everything? Or are we good? Are we going to be all right? And I'm just like, just don't even look at the chart, and just ultimately just look at Hart's Law at the end of the day. And it might not take a month. It might not take 2 months. It might not take 3. It might not take 6. It might not, but ultimately, then people just don't understand the perspective. Like what's about to happen. Like we have an election coming up. We have 2 basically wars that's going on, and ultimately, like, no, I'm gonna keep this to myself. But ultimately, if everybody just keeps their emotions separate from their crypto, and stop the pointing the fingers, or stop the I don't know, it's just like trying to open arms, and ultimately just like at the end of the day, just everybody here is here for the right reasons. Like I'll say this, and I'm gonna have to run here in a second, but like I was about to make a a tweet this morning, and I was going to just be talking, and I was at the gym, and I was like thinking about, I was like, ultimately, every single person here at the gym had or has a past and went through something to be here at the gym today. If it was for losing weight, or is it was just stay fit, or was it for keeping their health on check, or was it for going to the sauna and trying to do just everybody should go to the sauna, by the way. But like ultimately, like with that statement being mine, everybody here in Pulsechain, in the whole ecosystem, it doesn't matter like what all, if you're just sticking with the core tokens, or you're in Access token, or if you're in Solid X, or if you're in Teddy Bear or Atropa or pTGC or UFO, we're all here for one goal, and we were all here, or we were all subjected in some kind of way to come into the space, to come into freedom, becoming your own bank, and understanding the possibilities of crypto, the possibilities of what Richard Hart has been talking about for years, and then it kind of like goes down to the whole concept behind why are we here in crypto? We are tired. We are sick of being subjected to the concept of the whole system that was been built from the beginning. You know, the whole system that's just been subjugated to the citizens. You know, it's just like, do you know what a state national is?
A state national?
Yeah. Do you know what a state national is? You
No.
might not know who okay. So like, actually, let's not even talk about that. But what's it? I have to go. But like with that kind of like statement and being in mind, like, with what do you say to that?
I'm in agreement, man. That's why we're all in crypto. Everyone has seen something is wrong with the way that the world is, and this presents an opportunity out of that. And more than anything, Pulsechain presents the whole ecosystem of Pulsechain, in particular, in my opinion, the Atropa, pDAI whole ecosystem presents a new way forward for finances. It's not just, we used to talk about DeFi in the past cycle, but was it really DeFi? I mean, it was DeFi, yes, but it still was just like pump and dumps. This is different. This is different. So we're all here for those same reasons, man. We're all here because something was wrong, and we're seeing something here. We've gravitated towards this ecosystem. So I think there's an element of truth to what's happening here. And I think we're all blessed beyond our wildest expectations. So I think everyone should just keep focused on what you're doing, and not financial advice, but I'm gonna keep playing within this ecosystem and doing what I can. I can't yet accumulate more. We're just blessed. Liquidity providing, man. If you think about this inflow of money that's coming in, being a liquidity provider in these early days, in 2 years' time, come through the next bull cycle, let's say Atropa, pTGC, they're blue chips in the future. If you're a liquidity provider in those ecosystems, you're sitting sweet. You're sitting sweet. You're supporting the ecosystem. You're supporting yourself. That's the best way. When you're supporting yourself and the world, that's the best way.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Steven, I appreciate you jumping on the stream. You know, like when I like I passed through your Twitter, and I was like, why haven't I got this guy on a stream? So that's why I was like, all right, hey, let's do a stream. So I think we got to do this a little bit more often, and maybe we can go into some like kind of like conversations with meditations and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something I really enjoyed about this stream as well. I appreciate that, Coach. This was cool because we talked a lot about mindset stuff as well. Which, I mean, I'm the Genesis Mindset. That's the name of my playlist, that particular show. So I'm all about it, man. So anytime you want to talk about these things and I got free time, I'd love to come on, have a chat, and I think people like it. And also, I'd love to like more engage with the audience and like what kind of questions do they have, and yeah, like just get that atmosphere of seeing what people are about with the mindset, because I think yeah, that's what I'm all about. So I've loved it, man. I really enjoyed it.
Well, 100%, man. Well, appreciate you coming in. I think we maxed out at 183 in the
Wow,
house tonight. So
nice.
everybody, thank you for those that smashed the like, subscribe. If you haven't if you haven't subscribed to Steven, go do it. He brings out great information and has great conversations with different kind of individuals and content creators here on Pulsechain. So, and I think, did I do it? Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second. I think I did it. I think I did it. Let's see. Yes. So in the description, I put his Twitter handle. Go follow him. Make sure you do that kind of stuff. And for my community, I'll see you guys bright and early, 6:30 in the morning. Conversation never got boring, Pacific time. So, any last words?
No, that's it, man. Again, I've appreciated your time. It's good to actually have a chat with you like this. I've really enjoyed it. And same thing. I'm hoping I streamed it to mine. I did all the things. I just quickly put a title there. I'll put all your description and everything in there. Connect people with you as well. It's a shame we didn't get to talk about pTGC, but I'm going to go watch that Corey stream to learn what all the new things are happening in pTGC. Because I mean, pTGC is just another beast in the Pulsechain ecosystem. So it's been awesome, man. Thank you very much. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah, really appreciate it. That's some good numbers. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and then people are going to be watching this after the recording. So at the end of the day, like the people that actually really, truly respect and believe and have like just has the understanding, which we're both trying to give value to the ecosystem, and I think we bring value from the core days of once like Atropa, pDAI, and everything came into fruition. So with that being said, guys, peace.